Alright everybody, hello, this is CD Mangaka, and for Chapter 3 of the Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Master Ninja Mode walkthrough commentary, I'm taking a slightly different approach here. I played through the mission, and it took me about an hour to get through, but I felt like so much of that gameplay wasn't really fun to watch, because there was a lot of traversal errors I had, there was a lot of dying to some very annoying fights. So instead, I decided to come back here in post, try to edit down some of the back and forth travel when it came to this chapter, just to make this a little more of a pleasant experience to watch. So we are not going to really be seeing any of my deaths. I did die several times in this playthrough, as pretty much is par for the course when it comes to playing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black on this difficulty. Something that I stressed in Chapter 1 and 2. You will die a lot playing through this game mode, and that's okay. You just have to kind of accept that and move on, and the joy is overcoming that challenge. So I think right here I was actually trying to figure out what item was in that chest. If I remember correctly, it is an herb. So because we held on to herbs from the previous chapter, we were able to just immediately milk that for free essence, which again is sort of like the core money routing that I think you should do to try to make Master Ninja Mode as enjoyable as possible, because the more yellow essence that you have means the more upgrades that you can afford. I'm just double checking all the nooks and crannies. There's really not much around here for you to be on the lookout for. There is a dog up ahead. You know, he's just big chillin', so you can charge an ultimate technique, get the drop on him. Once you take this dog down, or once you aggro him, the other dogs will spawn. Maybe once you step forward there. So I finally trigger them after I absorb the level 2 ultimate technique essence. And the audio might be a little weird in this game. I'm going to try and separate my audio channels in future videos in case I do decide to come back and record voiceover for this one, just so you still have the gameplay audio. My gameplay and my microphone audio say the same video track or audio track, so this one is going to be a little bit different. And if I have I'm going to try and tweak the volume levels. You might hear, the live game version of me in the background, and I apologize for that. But I played through the level, I saved through it. So I just didn't want to have to go back and record. If you do have issues with this fight that we just went through, you can open up this chest for some red Nimpo essence. So feel free to drop those down, get a head start on the dogs. That chest is just like a random item chest. I think it's usually bats. And then there is a Muramasa shop around here, which it just takes me a little too long to find. So once I actually get to it, right? Then we're all up in here partying it out. So now actually the cool thing about this particular routing for the essence, right, is that we're actually able to afford our upgrades. Here I kind of was talking about in my live recording that, the Lunar Staff, it's a damn good weapon, but you really only need to get it to level 2. And once you have access to that 360 UT, you don't really need any other attacks with the weapon. Of course, if you want to just go all in on the Lunar Staff, you can, of course, upgrade it to level 3. But I found that there was some utility in the Falcon Talons that I actually really wanted to explore a lot more, and I felt that upgrading the talons just gave me a little more diversity in my kit and opened up some other opportunities, right? You can always check out the whole combo list right here. You can tell what moves are available at what weapon level based on the icon that is next to the combo moves. So that's just the thing to be on the lookout for. We're doing pretty well. I think we were at 30,000 essence, so we just need, I think about 7,000 more essence in order to afford upgrading the Falcon Talons to full. The Vigorian Flail is dropped right here. This is a very fun weapon. It has a pretty weak level 1 ultimate technique, but the level 2 is pretty fine. Largely single target, so you're going to kind of use this in chokeholds like this. I tried to aggro the enemy ninjas, but I did not get close enough. So once you get to right about, I think you have actually, yep, right there, once you see the camera shift, this guy immediately jumps out. You'll see here the level 1, not really too impressive. However, if I remember correctly, both on the level 1 and on the level 2 ultimate techniques, if you mash the heavy button, you will get additional attacks from it, and they actually have a really high delim chance. You see then this mission, we're kind of getting tactical ninjas to spawn, so they do have a little more aggressive projectile over the shuriken that we've been seeing so far in this playthrough, because, they have machine guns, we have RPGs flying out as well. Switch to the Dragon Sword just because I want a Flying Swallow to take that guy down. Stun this guy with the shuriken, wait for him to get close enough. But yeah, you see, he starts shooting his gun at me, and I'm like, no, I really don't want to mess with that. I had enough time to charge a level 2 here, but the Dragon Sword ultimate technique is a frustrating one to use, because not only do you have to have the first hit connect, you must then have the second hit that Ryu will teleport around to try and secure actually connect through. So this is yet another reason why I'm a big fan of the 360 Lunar Staff ultimate technique. It's just not as finicky as so many other ultimate techniques that you find with some other weapons. The fights here are going really well. This chest is a blue essence chest. This is something that took me a while to remember, and that was another reason why I wanted to come back and redo this recording just with like the previous knowledge. I might actually just play through the chapter on like chapter challenge mode and, you know, figure out the item maps very quickly and then play through this mode for the live walkthrough commentary. That might be something I do just to kind of fine-tune my item routing and discussing things just so that I'm not wasting y'all's time talking about, oh, I think this is an herb chest. 10 minutes later. Oh, actually, it was not. Ignore everything I said. This is a Crystal Skull. Don't miss this one. I missed this one in my first playthrough. I don't know how. That's one I remember very clearly now. But alas, that is simply how it goes. So now we have another fight that's spawning up here, and that's our first save statue up ahead as well. So I'm taking it slow. I really don't want to take any risks here, especially because we do have a mage in this fight. So 360 staff UT, barely connected at the end of it. We still got a arm cut off. And we get another one right here. I'm trying to set up the ultimate technique, the obliteration technique. So we can get that essence. Very quickly just farm these guys. Use whatever weapons you prefer. The 360 staff ultimate is just so good. And again, I think that, you know, setting yourselves up for a lot of success here in the early levels for your playthrough can make or break a difference for just like how much fun you have in the run. So I think we will see a camera cut here. Yes, we do. As I did proceed up ahead, I checked out the chest downstairs, realized there's blue essence, so more than welcome to save right there. Save that blue essence for when you need it. Try and get through all those first fights to that first save statue and save that blue essence for however these fights go. This is a 3-mage fight. I got killed in it a few times on my playthrough. I wanted to absorb that ultimate. Now the cool thing too, this is something I don't think I mentioned in Chapter 2 once we did get the bow and arrow. Once you unlock that and you're fighting mages like this, the bow and arrow actually pretty much stuns, I think, almost every enemy in the game, maybe save for a couple exceptions. But like these ninjas, these mage ninjas who were pretty much ignoring our shurikens before, you can now at least stun them with your arrow and use that to prime your jumps to get your ultimate techniques down. I'm having a little bit of a visual glitch. Okay, I had to just refresh because my game froze up there right there. You get a couple of little pterodactyl guys who spawn in. You just shoot them with your arrows. This was a much more prolonged section in the original game where you had to hide behind a wall. There's like 50 of them shooting fireballs at you, right? Anyways, the next little section that we're going to be doing is down the steps, actually. So this is an optional fight. This is one I skipped in my original playthrough, but there are a couple of nice items that you should be picking up down here. So I jump down, and actually you want to go to the other wall. So I'm here on this like wall to our camera right at the moment. But if you go to the camera wall left, you'll see that these guys pretty much immediately spawn in. You're right next to one of the more dangerous ninjas, the rocket launcher ninja. So you can quickly scuff them up real quick. I get grabbed very early on, so I just go into like pure survival mode of, okay, let's just abuse the iframes, you know, use level 1 ultimate techniques, get close to the rocket guy, you know, take him down. I wanted to force a blue essence spawn here so I could use it for a level 2 ultimate technique to, again, maximize the value of the kills that we're going to be getting from this chapter. I also mentioned earlier in my recording session here that maybe the audio would be messed up. Turns out I was smart. I already had separate audio channels going on, so you will have the gameplay. You've been having the gameplay in the background over my post-match commentary. So we're almost to the 40,000 essence mark. Which means that we can almost upgrade a weapon to level 3, actually, which I'm pretty happy with, the fact that we're at this point of the level. So I would head and fast forward this next bit, just because I wanted to make sure that I manipulated these chests correctly. I think one of them is an item chest. So we go back, we use this blue essence in order to try and top off our life. And then I kind of realized, oh yeah, there is a shop all the way back here. So I went ahead, spent an herb, and bought a new herb just to keep myself maxed out, because it was worth like that investment. Because if it is an herb in these chests, which I think it's actually an elixir of life in one of these chests, it means that we are going to get a lot more cash for that grains than it would be an herb. So if you're ever like trying to make sure you're topped off on it, just, you know, invest in that. And yep, it was a grain because we did cross that threshold. And I think we also had a Devil's Way mushroom in that chest. So just make sure your resources are fully stocked. Once you do that, then, you know, I went ahead and just said, you know what, I want to have my level 3 weapon as soon as possible. So I went all the way back and upgraded the Falcon Talons to level 3. And the reason why I upgraded the Falcon Talons to level 3 is because I think probably one of their best attacks is unlocked at level 3, and that is the Flying Swallow to Azuna drop combo. You'll get a view of it here in just a little bit. So now that we've done all that little bit of item management and the like, we're going to go ahead and cross the chasm properly to start up the next fight that we have going down. And we'll actually show off the Falcon Talons is a Flying Swallow Azuna drop combo. So once you get to level 3, it's just Flying Swallow, tap light once, and then heavy, and you get the Azuna drop like this, and this is so powerful. Basically just guaranteeing that you get kills on some troublesome enemies, like these, you know, ranged projectile guys. Then once I kind of get some essence farmed up, although I think I accidentally absorbed them, so I didn't have any essence to snowball off of, you can then switch over to like whatever weapon you want to have to access your strong ultimate techniques. Again, the Falcon Talons, like ultimate technique, it's fine, it's serviceable, it just has very few D-limb attacks on it. So for clearing out like massive groups of crowds, it's not really great. In addition to that, it can be finicky to connect as well because you have to have like the first attack connect, etc. I ran up here to look for any other items just to show you that there isn't any items. You have to climb up the ladder, imagine that. And if you ever wanted to save this save point, you could theoretically crawl back across that pipe and go back to it, but once you drop down from this next height, there is no coming back to this save point, so you might as well use it now. It took me a few tries to get through this next area through various fights. This chest is just a random chest. It can be ghost fish, it can be random yellow essence, so we're not too worried about trying to manage that one. Once you jump down here, you're going to be sent into the next fight. I charged up to level 2, took a little bit of damage for it. I'd advise that you try to not get hit here because I believe there is an herbs chest down here that you can use in order to, again, do some item manipulation and generate some essence for you. Once I see that I have a blue essence spawned, I'm going to go ahead and just go into my 360 staff UT using it to guarantee a high value kill. Right? And, you know, this can be a strategy that you use, right? Like, all right, I'm going to use the Falcon Talons, you know, briefly to isolate an enemy real quick, get a kill, switch over, you know, using the pause of the weapon select to kind of survey my surroundings. I didn't get a kill just yet. 360 staff just to buy me time. I see that I got a couple of heals. I went ahead and absorbed them just because I'm like, you know what? It's a little tricky right now. I might as well. And again, if you can keep yourself in high health here, you'll be able to actually do some of the item manipulations. Standard ultimate technique there actually did pretty good job. 360 for the iframes, get the kill here. This is a pretty long fight, actually. So just be on your toes, manage your essence accordingly, make your own decisions, right? And prioritize absorbing that high-value essence. The dogs will howl here, but you're not actually going to run into them yet. I was a little paranoid by this point, just because, like, I think the dogs in the fight after took me down a few times. But they won't spawn here, so, you know, don't waste your time like I am. And then there are some chests here. If you're ever in doubt of, like, what value a chest can give you, just, you know, pop an herb. You know, worst case scenario, you go herb for herb like here. Otherwise, like, I would have just, you know, been healed for an herb anyway, so. If you can manipulate that chest, please strive to do so, just so you can get that extra cash from it. But if not, it's totally fine. I feel like these fights are difficult enough where you could probably just say it's a free health item for you. Pretty classic, just, you know, ultimate the dogs, use an arrow to stun lock them, right? Like we talked about before with the other mages. And once you see that you absorb a yellow essence like that, you're probably out of the fight, but I kind of just remembered that there was one more dog coming. And by one more, I meant two. And I'm just going to, you know, kill him with the level 1 ultimate technique. And that's pretty much that fight. As I recall, there shouldn't be any other chests behind us here. If I'm wrong, let us know in the comments below. But I kind of remember checking that area out. And this is something where I want some of y'all's opinion. I think that this is the worst Nimpo in the game, Art of the Flame Phoenix. It just, I've never been impressed by it. Maybe, you know, I need to level it up, but I don't know. There's just essence that, like, immediately kills enemies and gives you tons of iframes, which I would just prefer over this thing where, you know, a couple of things, like couple phoenixes fly around you with, like, a pretty weak hitbox. And now we're fighting the large fiends here. I would just not really worry too much about, like, really optimizing your essence farming here. These guys do a lot of damage. They will kill you very quickly with like one random attack. So just kill them is what I would say. If you can't, like, I mean, I almost died from that, right? Arrows are great for stunning them. 360 staff UT is great, just tons of limb opportunities. You can rip off an arm of theirs, you can take off their head, which is an insta-kill on them. And once you're done with that, it's just time to jump down, and I would highly suggest that you just take the save point here. We got a couple of items that we can play off of in this area, so might as well do that. I was kind of thinking, once you save at this statue here, you want to try and like dash forward twice and get an on-landing ultimate technique so that you can start off killing the dogs. Here, it's a pretty long, intense fight with these guys. And I actually have a death that I kept in here just because, again, showing you how easy it is to die in just any random fight in this game. So, again, highly encourage y'all to just try and take the most safe and consistent strategy when it comes to approaching these fights. So, again, I'm going to start off with the ultimate technique here. Bring the dogs down. And then, you know, I get grabbed. Mash, if you get grabbed by them, there's a grab that you can't escape where they do like a suicide bite on you and then they explode. Otherwise, they can do a grab where they're kind of like throttling at you. So if you ever get grabbed, just start mashing away. And if it's the grab that you can't escape, well, then you will escape it. And I'm not even messing around here. I'm not trying to farm these dogs. They're way too aggressive. I just don't need to stress that much about them. I don't think they give that much essence anyway. All right. We had a couple other encounters up ahead that gave me some difficulties. I cut out a lot of that footage. Again, just to kind of save us all time. This chapter just really isn't that interesting. I think they really toned down the enemy numbers, and I think it's very apparent in this chapter compared to like the original Ninja Gaiden 2. So, and I think in this particular chapter, it does mean that you get a little more downtime, but I think that's to like the game's weakness, arguably so. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll appreciate like not being stressed out all the way through these playthroughs. This chest here is a red Nimpo chest, if I recall correctly, so you're more than welcome to use that against the dogs if you want to keep yourself safe. This is an Herbs of Spiritual Life, if I recall correctly. It could be a blue essence chest as well. I will have to take a look at that as we go through the playthrough. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and abuse our Nimpo here. This is why I like to upgrade the Art of the Inferno level 2, because now for each Nimpo cast, we just, you know, we get to target 2 guys at the same time. I think actually on this run, I got a lot of red essence that spawned. I'm kind of looking to see what they give me here, and it's a lot of... there's another red essence. There's some yellow essence, right? And you have the opportunity to run back to the previous area. If you jump down here, there's nothing in the water down here, so, you know, nothing to really look for. I'm just double-checking everything, right? I'm pretty sure there's not a crystal skull. And then you just come up through here, right? Using your wall run stuff. And then there's this chest here. I pop it open. It is ghost fish, and I love to use the Vigorian flails against the ghost fish just because they have so many active attacks. I kind of got robbed there. It was all yellow essence, no blue essence for me to try and heal up at this chest here. But, you know, I decided, let's press on. I went back for the Nimpo chest just to demonstrate it is, in fact, Nimpo, so you can use it whenever. After I get lost, I think, for like a minute or so. Yeah, it's just along this way. Red essence here. So, you know, scoop that up. Then I wanted to try and come back for that chest later, because there is another save point up ahead, and we can backtrack to this point as well. So highly recommend you do that. Once you get here, you can hear the enemies spawn down there. You also see some of them drop down. I just decided to show off the Vigorian Flail ultimate technique. If you're mashing a heavy attack, then you get those extra extensions, like I'm doing right here, where he's sort of spinning them around Bruce Lee style, right? And yeah, pretty effective chokehold right here. And then there's this absolute unit of a ninja. He's just doing his best. And I'm expecting him, you know, to make that climb. I put too much faith in him. The AI in this game can be a little humorous at times. And just a quick takedown on him. From here, you're going to get a couple of larger fiends that do spawn in. So advance forward right about here. They'll jump at you, back off. And, you know, ideally I should have gotten that UT off. Able to create just enough time using the arrow to stagger them. And there's only 2 of them. Get a quick kill on them. Be done with it. Then we advance on ahead. there should be our next statue. And once we use this, then I go ahead and run all the way back to the item that we had before. So this is the part where I'll go ahead and just speed up the VOD for the sake of us not having to pay attention to me failing some platforming stuff. This is one reason why, again, when I kind of watch back on this chapter, it's like, yeah, it was like as long as my other videos, but so much of it was just some traversal blunders and, you know, like here again, so I have to run all the way back up. And there's even going to be a couple more upcoming, and I just didn't want to subject y'all to sitting for so much dead air time, right? That's sort of one thing that I am slightly bummed about with this chapter, is that for the amount of, like, traversal time that you can have here, there's just not a lot of action to really make up for that, I think. So I feel like this is probably one of, like, the more unfun levels in this version of the game just because of that reason, and especially because this has, like, one of the worst boss fights. Here, I somehow randomly just dropped down. I was pretty upset about that, and I actually bungled this yet again, so appreciate y'all just hanging on out all the way through. Yeah, see, I bungled at the very end, and if you have that happen, it's just a big time waster. So don't goof it, but, you know, don't get too frustrated with it either. There's fights to focus on. So get into this fight. I didn't get my flying swallow out there. Trying to get the stun off on him. You know, just trying to get, like, a little bit of momentum, as it were. Get the level 2. And this is, like, the only guy that spawns in this area here. Like, again, this is, like, a whole fight against, like, an entire clan of ninjas in this area. So use whatever weapon you want. Deal with him. You shouldn't take any damage. You should be able to manipulate him pretty well. Now we're out to our next shop with Muramasa. I went ahead and upgraded the Vigorian flails because I just want to demonstrate that with this effective essence farming, think about it. Like early on in the chapter, we upgraded a weapon to level 3. That was 40,000 essence. And then we were still able to upgrade yet another weapon to level 2, which was 20,000 essence, right? So, you know, we're making like 60,000 essence a level by going for like this, you know, farm with the ultimate technique strategies. There should be a crystal skull back here. That's why I checked that area out. I already picked it up in my previous playthrough. So just be sure you snatch that crystal skull. It's behind that fan. Really nothing to do down here. There's no enemies. I kind of just take my time, double checking everything. There's no chest or anything like that. You can use the Dragon Sword here, which has a guaranteed Flying Swallow action. The Falcon Talons has a more contextual Falcon Flying Swallow. So that's why I use the sword for this. Once you break that fan, you just swing on through. I'm double checking if there's like any sort of items I'm missing here, but there isn't really. And now actually we're coming up into probably one of my least favorite boss fights in the entire game. There's just really not much that you can do, I think, in terms of approaching this fight if you're playing through the game like this. If you have some other Nimpo or you're playing through like a chapter challenge mode, there might be some other things that you can do. But since we're focusing on just like your first normal playthrough of Master Ninja mode, we're assuming that you have the items, the Nimpos, and everything else like that to fight against the boss. But there's just not much that you can really do about him. You just have to shoot arrows at him and make sure you're not getting hit or cheesed. But we still have a little ways to go before we get there. So this is me just like double checking all my surroundings, but there is nothing to check out here. Just drop down, swim all the way through. Took me a moment to remember how to actually dive down and swim. Like this is the state of mind I was in, y'all. I was forgetting the basic controls of the game. Pretty cringe, I know. So yeah, just swim through and advance on ahead, as it were. And actually, since I'm doing this commentary post-recording, just to make up for how this live gameplay went, I want to see if any of y'all who are watching all the episodes, what your thoughts were on it, if you preferred the live commentary, if you'd rather see me continue on with that approach, or if you like this more condensed approach where I try to trim out a lot of the fat in the game and in the VOD itself. Yeah, just let me know. Kind of curious about it. And again, if there's any things that I missed or some tech that you'd like to share, please just let us know. This essence is a red Nimpo essence, so feel free to spam it and use it for the upcoming fight. Because this fight is, it's a pretty fun one, actually. It's one of the more fun ones in the level, I would say. And as you can see, we already have another save statue just up ahead. So we have plenty of opportunities to heal and stay in tip-top shape. So I don't think we have like too many item chests, though, that we can really manipulate here. There is a Life of the Gods up top. But that's like pretty much it. So unfortunately, despite all this health around us, we're not really able to capitalize and make sure that our money is going to be as optimized as it could theoretically be. So for this fight, you know, use whatever weapon you prefer. For the dogs and everything around, I think just don't mess around. 360 Talon, 360 Lunar Staff, ultimate techniques. It's just way too good. These fights are way too chaotic to really mess around with some other approaches. Again, because you could use Nimpo here, you could like isolate a couple targets, burn them down, and then use like the Vigorian Flail ultimate techniques if you wanted to, or the Dragon Master Sword. But because you're fighting enemies that don't get delimbed, the dogs, these ultimate techniques that have like a lot of delimb moves sort of lose value on them. Once I have the dogs down, you see I switched up to the Vigorian Flails, just to have a little bit of fun with it, right? Trying to show off a couple of fancy combos, and actually my Shuriken killed him. But we're not done just yet. Level 1 is very weak with the Vigorian Flails, so this is definitely a weapon that you want to try and get to level 2 with. And we have another guy coming down. Mash the heavy button to get this awesome attack. But that's the other issue with it, right, is that you have a multi-stage ultimate technique with it that requires the enemies to be in very close quarters. And in an area like this, the Vigorian Flails and their ultimate technique in particular just don't really do well, I think, in these large open spaces. And if I remember correctly, they don't have a flying swallow attack of any kind, but they do have some really fun long combos that do a lot of like stun to the enemy for you to control the enemies with a very high delim rate as well. So, you know, there's a time and a place for them. I'm not really a person who gravitates towards using them that often. So I'm curious to see if there's any sort of Vigorian flail users out there that have various tech that they'd like to post with it. As you know, one thing that I want to stress as I work on these commentaries is that I have my own play style that works for me, but doesn't mean that you have to do exactly as I play through the game. You should be open to finding your own strategies and play styles, right, to find success. I just want to show off a very easy to approach style that can work for a lot of people, that's very strong and very consistent. So now we're in the last few fights right before we get into the boss. This is a very simple fight where you have a few ninjas, rocket launcher in the back. I use the Falcon Talons just to isolate him, make sure he went kaboom. Kind of have my on-landing timing messed up a little bit by the wall that Ryu clung to, but 360 Staff ultimate technique delimbs both of these ninjas. I'm going to go ahead, get the level 2 off, and pretty simple kill here. If you're able to farm up this fight, I recommend that after you do so, just run back and save here, which you can do just by running up just like that. Because this next fight, as you can see, can kill you. It took me a while to get through this fight, just because these particular large fiends, they are so annoying to fight. They do so much damage. They control a lot of the area with their projectiles. It's just a very frustrating fight, I think. And your Art of the Inferno Nimpo just really tickles them more than anything. So once you get them to spawn, charge up an ultimate. Once they jump at you, you can kind of wait until they're about halfway through their jump arc and then release just to get your iframes. And I would just highly recommend in this fight, just chain the essence, just get the kills. You know, there's way too much projectiles going around. If you fire the arrows at them, it can break them out of their flying patrol pattern so that you get them to approach you. I got very lucky with the timing of that ultimate technique here. Arrow at him again. He's not coming down. He's just being super annoying. But, you know, eventually you can actually delim them with your arrow shots, which can work out very well. If you ever try to approach them, I would definitely probably not use the dash jump. I would probably just dash around, because sometimes those fireballs will catch you in your jump arc and then you're just dead. And again, like, you use the bow and arrow, stagger them, stun them out of it, and then once they're flying at you like this, you're pretty much golden. I would just not mess around with this fight. It's a super frustrating fight. You're about to go into a boss as well, and the more damage you take here, the more likely it is that you're going to get stuck at this boss for a while, because I hate this boss. When you're playing through this fight on this difficulty, in just story mode, you just don't have a lot of weapons to deal with him. I would equip the Vigorian Flails, lock on with a bow and arrow, shoot him down. I think this fight was probably a little more entertaining in the original version, where you had the ultimate arrow technique to work around with. You had to manage your ammo. And here, you just sort of lock onto him, stay tracked. But he does so much damage, he can kill you. You got to listen for when his little guys spawn. If you have the Vigorian Flails, you can have fairly active hitboxes. And I would try and make sure that you're behind him, because if you're in front of him when he starts firing his projectiles, you can get caught by those strays and die very quickly. So never be directly in front of him. Try and be on the opposite side of the subway station as our boy here. Right, like I'm just not staying in front of him. I'm always trying to stay behind him. He's very docile towards me in this particular attempt, which honestly, I don't know if that's like some sort of unknown RNG manipulation that I'm doing, or if I just finally got lucky, but he can be very aggro. But as you can see, his annoying little mini-me bastards, there's just not much you can do with them outside of just check them. Once you see him kick around like that, he's going to fire this giant face attack at you that explodes. So this is one reason why you should not be directly in front of him. And he also has an attack where he just fires a whole bunch of projectiles in like a spiral motion like this. If you're directly in front of him, these will likely hit you. That's why you want to be off to the side against him. This is a pretty frustrating fight. It's also a very boring fight. I don't need to have you guys watch me, fight him for 20 minutes until I finally get this run. But that's how you clean it up, and that is Chapter 3 of Master Ninja Mode for Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. Appreciate y'all watching this, and let me know if you like the post-commentary approach instead. I'm going to go ahead and do another playthrough of Chapter 4, and get ready to present that to y'all within the next day or so. Thanks for watching the series. Share it around, give it a like, yada yada yada, and look forward to seeing y'all in the next video. Mangaka signing out.